And I was just like, life's too short. I was like, I'm crying in a car park at the beginning of half term because I'm so unhappy. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is not okay.
Lottie Doherty, virtual Lottie. Welcome to Rad-Ventures, the podcast that takes you on an exhilarating journey through the lives of entrepreneurs and business owner. Business owner and entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lottie.
That was a very long sentence. No wonder you have to practice that. I
Yeah.
love it. Absolutely love it. Hello, everyone. My name is Lottie. I run two businesses. I have a virtual assistants and social media agency, which I've been running for 3 years. And I've just started up a second business, which I'm now coaching and mentoring people who want to become virtual assistants so that they can have a virtual assistant agency as well. That's me.
Nice, I love it. And you did miss a bit out there, your award-winning
Oh,
three-year-old
yeah, I
business.
know. As a business owner, though, we don't really take credit for those things. And I always forget that. I am an award-winning virtual assistant agency. I am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cool. So, I know a little bit about you. You're a bit of a big name in the old VA agency, VA world.
Oh,
You recently got back to the UK after nearly a year of travels.
yes.
One of the perks of being a VA working anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And also, you're based just up the road from me over Bournemouth Way, aren't you?
I am. Where are you?
Weymouth.
Oh my gosh, you're so close. Yeah, literally. Bournemouth's much
It's,
better than Weymouth, though. Just
yeah, I mean, Bournemouth people always say Weymouth's close, but then when they actually come, they're like, oh, it's so far away.
at least you have a better aquarium. I will say that.
Oh, I've never been to the one in Bournemouth.
Have you not? You can try it and see what you think.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe we won't tag them in this, eh? Right. Good. So your new business of coaching's just set up too, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I suppose you're a couple of months in, ish. Bit longer
Six
than that,
months
maybe.
now. Almost 6 months, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Let's talk about what you do currently then. So, the main business then, the VA business. You is it social media you do mostly?
Both. So we have both departments now. We have the social media side and the virtual assistant side, whether it's email marketing, general admin, which can be from booking your travels to your calendar and your appointments, all the way through to social media, where we come in, do your photo shoots and everything else. So I went for both ends in the end because VA is such a broad spectrum that I just need to specialize in two different areas to really nail what our clients need.
Cool. And you've got quite a few associates now, haven't you?
I do. I have 20.
That is quite a few. I would imagine that nowadays your everyday is managing the workload and the business presence rather than the work itself.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Luckily, I have my co-director, which is my partner, Luke. He is more on the associate side, but to be honest, the team is so good because VAs run their own business anyway, so they have to be super organized and keep themselves on top of things. So it's more or less, I check on clients like once a month, and a client will come to me if there's a problem. That's the biggest thing for me. And the associates all work hand in hand, and we're very fortunate with the team that we have that they're quite strong and independent, so they work directly with the client. So the managing side is more me going out there being the ambassador and finding clients, like being on a podcast.
Yeah, nice. And you're quite active on the old Instagram. I like the Instagram. Is that your preferred platform, do you think?
Massively, yeah. LinkedIn was my first, and then it just became too bloggy, and I think it became a little bit pretentious in my opinion. Whereas Instagram, I could keep that rawity of being silly and fun and wearing a dressing gown without being judged and all this stuff. So I don't know. Instagram just seems to be have that more fun spirited approach than LinkedIn. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know why that is because when you go on Instagram, you find the big names on Instagram, and they're not the old corporate Charlie in inverted commas for listeners rather than watchers. Um, and everyone says it's all about the people that you follow and stuff like that. But I always find it's a different vibe on LinkedIn.
I agree. I do. I think it's a lot more bloggy. I find like there's really long posts and it'd be just one photo and someone just telling their life story, which is great, but it's such a different platform. Although it's amazing because you get direct contact to that person, whereas Instagram, you don't know who's behind the camera. You don't know who it is that you're talking to, really.
Yeah, I suppose for me, people always said to me I should be on LinkedIn to
Yeah.
advertise my own business. Surprisingly, I'm not a full-time podcast host yet, though I am waiting for
You
the
will
Joe
be.
Rogan phone call any day now.
Ah!
um, but for LinkedIn, yeah. So B2B, obviously on LinkedIn, B to though potentially C on LinkedIn. For those consultants and C being consultants on this occasion.
Yeah.
But I just find it just so I don't know. I've fallen down the trap of a couple of photos and then a mega long post about my involving all aspects of my life, and then I was just like, this is rubbish, and off I go back to Instagram. Throwing my peace signs and messing around on my stories. But yeah, as I would think that the place to be would be LinkedIn, but actually it's just not fun over there.
I think you have to make it fun. I think you have to like have a different mindset. Like for me, all my clients came from there at the very beginning because that was the main
Mm,
platform that I used, and I focused on that platform. Whereas I've gone all in on Instagram over the last. I was one of those that was like, why is everyone else getting inquiries on Instagram? I never got one, not one in my first 2 years. I reckon I got one, and that was it. Even though
mm.
I was across multiple platforms, I got like 4 or 5 platforms. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to go all in on Instagram and really hone in on it. And once I started picking up a few things, it's got better. And I definitely get inquiries from there now. A lot more than I did. Don't get me wrong. Like, I still have to put in the work, which I'm sure you do too. As a business owner, we have to. You can't just rely on socials to do it for you. You still have to go out and do all the work, the engagement stuff. But yeah, I went all in on Instagram because I really want that. I have like, I'm sure you've got idols that you look at and go, I want to be like that. So you go on there and go, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. And yeah, I just find Instagram quite inspirational as well.
Mm, yeah, I like it, and I like the conversations I have on Instagram. And I tell you one thing, we will move on from Instagram and social media, but it's interesting to talk to someone in a similar field. We recently had another VA agency owner on as well, and we ended up talking more about that world and podcasting than we did like the adventure side of their career. But um, on Instagram, you can nip into the DMs, and actually, the reason that this podcast exists is my voice notes in the DMs.
Yeah.
But you have honest conversations with people, and majority of the time, I don't worry about a new connection or someone following me on Instagram and then getting a message from them 2 days later saying, "Oh, hey Richard, seen your page. I thought we'd be great together. Do you want to buy my £5,000 course?" Which on LinkedIn, I've currently got 28 invitations where it's like, "Oh, hey Richard, I work in the lead generation field. Do you want to connect?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to connect because I don't want you to message me in 2 days' time and say, 'Oh, hey, can we nip on a quick call?'" No, that's the difference.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, a lot of the girls that came on the course, or when I've had conversations with them, because obviously I run a group coaching course as well now,
Yeah.
they even said to me that the amount of people that have contacted them offering them a course rather than getting to know them, getting to know their problems, using marketing strategically, it's just like I can't get over how many people still cold message. It's shocking, actually. And I agree with you because the amount I have people asking to be part of my agency, and I'm like, I still feel like I have quite a small team. Like 20's big,
Mm.
but I'm very boutiquey. Like we've got 30 clients, but I've got 20 associates, so I know everyone. It's 50 people. But when I look at it like that, I'm like, okay, it's quite big. But it's not because I know everyone, I know everything about it. But when people ask you like to be part of the agency, I'm like, no. I'm like, if I need someone, I will go and find it rather than you coming to me.
Yeah.
It's just the way that people
Yeah.
are.
That's my outlook on life. If I want to coach, I'm going to research coaches. I'm going to find a coach. I'm going to be like, Lottie's great on Instagram. I'm going to drop her a message. That type of thing. Not like, oh, Lottie's just dropped a DM. Do I want her coaching? Well, actually, no, I don't want your coaching. If I wanted a coach, I'd go find one.
if they were doing it in a way that was like engaging with you and building no like and trust on the sideline,
Mm,
whilst your brain is going, I was thinking about buying a coach into it, and then they're following you and you start seeing posts that resonate with you, that
mm,
is pure strategic marketing because they're speaking to you from their mind and you're reading it going, how are they in my brain rather than that.
mm.
So I get it.
Yeah, yeah. But
You
then it's like that's your marketing. It's not you jumping into their
no.
DMs and be like, "Come on, buy my course." Um. Anyway, moving on. Don't get
I
me
love
started
it.
on this.
We've gone straight. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah, it's like
it
dropped in.
happens.
LinkedIn, get out. LinkedIn, go on. Right. So, okay, let's talk about the agency a bit more, then talk about your coaching, and then we'll go back to school for little Lottie to see what she wanted to do. But the agency then, 20 associates. So, big thing in the VA world. Are your associates outsourced? Are they uh, from over east, or have you got are they all UK kind of or Western world based VAs?
All my associates that work directly with my clients are all UK based. That is our
Mm,
USP within the industry. I have a VA that I work with who's from the Philippines and she is amazing, but she helps me with my socials, my personal socials, because I can't do it all. But
mm,
for my clients, the most important thing for me is that they have someone who's within the UK. And the reason why it happened was because, like we mentioned earlier, I was away for a year. So when we were in New Zealand, we were in a camper van doing calls at 2 a.m. because we were 13 hours ahead. So
mm.
midday for you guys was 1 a.m. for us. So, and it just got to the point where the quality wasn't quite there. And I was like, we need to sort this out for ourselves and for our clients. So that's where I went all in on like associating out the majority of our work to people so that if they needed an account manager or someone to be accountable, there was someone in the UK that could do that. So all of them are, yes. All of them under the
Nice.
Virtual Lottie banner is UK based.
Ah, good. Cool. So the coaching thing then. This
Yeah.
has been going on what 6 months you said. So I see, and I think you're doing it in like sets, aren't you? So like you have you have X amount of people on your program, and then you run that for X amount of weeks, and then you go again a few weeks down. Has it gone well?
I was really surprised at the first cohort. I didn't realize that you have a stance or like anyone who's following you that potentially could be part of the course. Because for me, I started a brand new account, let people know my virtual Lottie, and obviously I've got the UKVA Cafe, and I just went, I've got this new course, I'm gonna starting it. I got roped into doing it by my cousin who is also a coach, and she was like, you should do it, you'd be really good at considering I used to be a teacher, that all kind of went in together, and I was like, I loved teaching. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I just went in, I started a new one. I thought maybe one person would apply. I had about 6 or 7 people apply. I converted 3. It was a 4.5K launch. I only had 3 weeks. So I started posting about it in May. So I had 6 weeks, sorry. So it was May till beginning of June is when it started. So I had about 5 weeks. And I brought
Nice.
3 people on, 4.5K launch. It was 3 months. The girls went through it with me. So I planned it all out. As you do as a teacher, you go, right, okay, where's the end goal? And then I started doing it all the weeks. And I literally was just recording workshops. It was very hands-on. They got support from every day and everything else. And then all the girls got clients. They've all come out with clients. They're still rinse and repeat. I'm still hearing from one of the girls. She's got like 4 high ticket clients now. It's amazing. She's doing phenomenal. She's living in Dubai. So it's all incredible on her end. And now I'm doing my second launch. So it starts on the 23rd of October. And I got one person
Nice.
signed up so far.
Ah, well, unfortunately, we couldn't plug that because this won't come out till mid-January. But
Oh, but I got
if
another
you when
one.
well, yeah, I was going to say when people do listen to this episode, and by then this podcast is going to be massive. So Lottie will be launching her new was it MMAPC or something, isn't it?
Mac, yeah, the Mac
Ma-
program will have its third edition. I went with the book theme. I don't know why. I was just like, I'm British, first edition.
Ah, nice. I like it. Okay, that segues us nicely, I think, because you just mentioned that you were a teacher before a virtual
Yeah.
Lottie. So we'll get to that. But let's go back to Lottie in school. And what did you want to be when you were at school then?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't. I wanted to be like a gymnast or a football player. I was a really, really sporty girl until I
Hmm.
realised that I was a girl, and I was in. Then I went into my teenage years. But I wanted to be like a gymnast or a footballer. I was really like that was my thing. At one point, I wanted to be a teacher, and then I hated kids. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And obviously that changed over time because I got older. But yeah, I want to be a gymnast.
Okay. And so did you take like were you doing gymnastics
Yeah,
as your hobby
yeah,
and
it
then
was
so
probably.
did you start in that direction? Did you go to college to do like a sport degree or something or
Well, this is the thing. So I did every single sport. I even got like a trophy for being all rounder at sports because I was captain of most of my teams at school. And then I went into one of those professional clubs and I did like one session. Was like, nah, this is not for me. I didn't want to do it. I did because I realized how intense it could be either an athlete because I was a really fast runner or gymnast, and I was like, don't want to do this. And then I loved theatre and I loved singing and dancing, so I went down that route. So I did drama in college. I did sixth form. I did acting, singing. I did it on the side as well. I did it for years. Did my degree in acting. I never pursued it because of that entire rejection, going to auditions, the insecurities of all of that. And do you know what's hilarious? It's more or less the same as being a business owner because I don't know if you agree, but like you're going to a discovery call, which is like an audition. You're proving your worth as much as they are, and then you go away. If you're not the right fit, you're not the right fit. But when you first start your business, you're like, why? What was wrong with me? Whereas now it's like, yeah, we weren't the right fit. But at the time, it was like you had to have really big resilience as a business owner. I think quite a lot of people come into the industry without realizing that as well. But yeah, that's me.
yeah. So okay. So you got your degree in acting, but then you how did you get to be a teacher then from there?
I did camp, so you know Camp America where you saw those like really cool counselors and the camps and stuff like Parent Trap. I was like,
Okay.
I want to do that. That'd be really cool. I've always wanted to go to America. I always wanted to live the American lifestyle. So I taught drama at camp. Loved it. Loved being in a different country. Traveled as an English teacher as a foreign language, which is where I met my partner. This was 10 years ago. And
Hmm.
then for 5 years, we traveled as English teachers and we're like, well, this is easy. We could do this back in the UK. Came back to the UK. Yeah, it's not that easy. I've had to do like 12 different subjects. I was teaching 5 year olds and they were lovely, but I got bullied out of teaching, unfortunately. But not because
Oh,
of
okay.
intellect. Yeah.
Ah. So presumably you got like you need some form of qualification to teach in
Yeah.
primary school if it's 5-year-olds that you're teaching.
Yeah, so I did a PGCE. I came back to do the PGCE, and then 3 months in, COVID happened, which we did want to talk about, but it'll just be mentioned slightly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was obviously, so I did my first quarter in schools. Thankfully, I had
Hmm.
a background within teaching, so I've already learned how to teach in front of kids, but I had to spend the rest of it online doing courses, and that was it. And then I got a job in a school through an interview, not even teaching in front
Hmm.
of them. And they put me, so my experience was year six, and they put me in year one. So it was a completely like, the person obviously didn't see that my experience was in X and they should have put me in the middle or something, and they put me in a
Mm.
completely different one. But yeah, do we get to ask you questions as well on
Yeah,
this?
you can ask me.
'Cause I want
This
to
is
know.
conversation. This is.
Okay,
I should have
brilliant.
said that at the
I was like,
beginning.
is this just an interview? I was like, I want to know what you did. What did you want to be when you were a child?
What did I want to do? Funny enough, I was talking about this morning. I just connected with someone. I'm a part of it. I've just joined like a little group called the Generator Gals, and it's through Through, I know I'm the honorary man, but it's like it's through connections that I know, and they started this like this this group support group etc. And Debs does Asana, who runs it. She said, "Oh, join if you want to." So I joined, And through there's a WhatsApp group, and then we just had a call before this podcast. Actually, through the podcast, I started off on the other side of this table, um, and then through the call, I was like, "Hang on a second, I'm just gonna, I'm still here, I'm listening." So turn my video off, and then like moving everything around, and like getting the ring light out, and setting the lights up, and closing the blinds, and then I came back and on different camera as well, and then they're just like, I was like, "It's okay, I'm back." No explanation that I was getting ready to record a podcast. But anyway, so I joined the Generator Girls, and I connected with someone this morning on Instagram,
Yeah.
and she's just about to go through a change in her business. So I messaged saying, thanks for the follow. Uh, I'm interested in your story, and actually, I saw that you wanted to be a lawyer, but then you decided not to do it. I wonder how far you got in your law journey. So she says, "Oh, I didn't get too far," and I said, "Well, it's effective. I used to want to be a lawyer, but I decided that academia wasn't my route." But hilariously, or ironically, I suppose, one of my biggest clients is a solicitor. So I now work for her doing, legal assistant work. But she then mentioned Ally McBeal, which is one of the reasons I wanted to be a solicitor, because way back when, Ally McBeal was quite the thing. Um,
Is that
but
like
yeah,
TV? Is that like a TV show? Or
what? How old are you? I can't believe you've not heard of Ally McBeal.
I'm 33, 34 now. I just turned 34.
34. I'm only 39.
Yeah, you're still,
Yeah, you got to
oh,
look
you're
it up.
5 years older than me. You're way.
It's not way.
That's 80s. I'm a
Get
90s
back.
baby.
Um, get back in your box. All right, this is okay. So late mid to late 90s, there was a TV show called Ally McBeal, which you probably would have been too young to watch because it probably was a 15 or maybe even 18. And it's about it was Callista Flockhart. Hopefully, you've heard of her. She is Harrison Ford's wife, or was. Harrison Ford was Han Solo in Star
I
Wars.
know who Harrison Ford is. I'm not that bad.
Okay, so Callista Flockhart, you might know her as she was in the CW Supergirl TV show. She was the editor of the paper.
Yeah, I would have known that. I would have only known who Supergirl was.
Okay, anyway,
Watch
right.
Glee.
Okay, so Ally McBeal was a lawyer, and the show was based around her, and she had a best friend, and they worked at this firm, and then it was all kind of. But her ex-boyfriend was at the firm, and he rocks up with his new wife, and stuff like that, and it was all a massive big show. And she saw this dancing baby everywhere, and it was good. It was a good show. Robert Downey Jr. was in it before he went to prison, I think. You should probably look it up. I'm probably not doing it justice, but
And then
yeah.
told me about dancing babies, and I was like, okay, this sounds really random.
Oh, you got to check out the Ally McBeal dancing
Okay,
baby.
I'm
Google it
gonna have to.
afterwards.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, so I think. Well, at first I wanted to be a marine biologist, but I realised I wasn't very good at biology. Then I was like, Did I want to be a pilot before, or did I want to be a pilot after the lawyer? I can't remember. And then I went to sixth form, and I didn't do too great there. And then I decided I had to do something, and at the time Manchester Met Police were taking on. And I was like, oh, I quite fancy that. But I was too young, so I decided to go to college, and I did public services for 2 years. And then just before we finished the 2-year course, one of the guys is like, don't apply for the police just yet. You need some life experience. So I was like, oh, cool. So we just wasted 2 years of our lives to now be told that, that was pointless. But anyway, I decided I didn't want to go to university because I just thought, what's the point in getting like 25 grand in debt to have a piece of paper that I will get probably like what is it, a 2-1 in or something, or second or something?
Yeah.
Because I'll rush the work at the end of it or whatever. And so I basically fell into catering because at that early 2000s, catering was all the rage. Jamie Oliver was around, Gordon Ramsay,
Yeah.
Ainsley Harriott, Gary Rhodes. They all had their own TV shows. I was like, this is cool. You get to play with fire and knives all day. So I fell into that, and then I got stuck in that for years and years. And then, then one day I decided I was going to change it, and I was applying for business apprenticeships in administration, and I went for an interview in Poole actually, and the sales director and co-owner of the company, I must have said some stuff she liked, and she was like, "I'll give you a real job if you like, not an apprenticeship." And I was like, "Cool." And then I ended up working in inbound sales. So I worked there, and then I worked in. Then I worked on I didn't like traveling to Poole every day, because no matter how you slice it from Weymouth, it's an hour each way.
No, it's far. It's far. One of our friends
Um,
from Bournemouth to Tolpuddle every day, and I'm like, that's a long way. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's 27 miles, which in theory, should be half an hour, but it's the traffic
Yeah.
going out of Weymouth and into Poole, or opposite way around, obviously, when you're coming home. It was just like, I was just like, I'm wasting my life here. It's 10 years of my week, 10 hours of my week is
Yeah.
sat in this car just doing
Yeah.
nothing. So I moved a bit closer and I ended up working in a motorcycle retailer, and that was awful. And then after that, that closed because of COVID and because he closed it up, liquidated it. So we all got our statutory redundancy and out the door. So I'd set the VA in inverted commas business. I'd call it freelance admin rather than VA. I'd set that up on the side, and so I just went into that, and so that's how we got here. There you go.
That's amazing. It just shows though, doesn't it? Because I'm similar to you in regards to when I was teaching, I lost all my confidence. I lost everything. Like they literally like peeled me like a potato. So I was so raw. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what else I can do. I need to get out of this. So I started doing musical theatre again, which was my pure joy when I was younger. And I
Mm.
met a real life VA. And I was like, what? You're real? Like, I'd heard about it on TikTok and Instagram and all these people. And I was like, whatever, it's not real. Anyway, when I met her, I was like, could I take you for a coffee and a cake? I was at this tipping point anyway where I didn't know if I was going to continue for another year or I was looking at admin jobs anyway, similar to you.
Mm.
So I took her for coffee. She introduced me to an agency. I signed up to the agency, but we also found out one of our friends had cancer, who's our age, and I was just like, life's too short. I was like, I'm crying in a car park at the beginning of half term because I'm so unhappy, and I
Mm.
had to do loads of more work over the half term because it wasn't good enough. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is not okay. I spent my entire
Mm.
summer painting a bench for the school. Like, who, what, the kids don't care. It could be black. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. The
Mm.
kids don't notice that stuff. It's all just materialistic. Anyway, long story short, I met the girl and then handed in my notice, left in that January 2022, and I just put myself out there, similar to you, and it just proceed from there. I do believe that things happen for a reason, though, don't you?
Yeah, I think obviously as we go, I mean, and this is the reason for the podcast is obviously as we go through our lives, and we get we experience these things. That's what drives us to where we are now, and that was the whole concept of the podcast. Is that's why we start at where you are now, then we go back to school, and then we find out what happened in between.
Yeah,
Because for me, if I didn't have that, when I was at that interview for the group in Poole, she said, "What have you been doing?" I said, "Well, I'm currently working in a fish and chip shop," which I was in like a go. And she said, "Oh, what do you think of that?" I said, "It's like a weird go between the catering world where you work in split shifts and evenings and weekends." And I said, it's like that, but in between the catering world and the normal world, it's like a stepping stone. She said, "Do you think so?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she said, how do you deal with pressure?" And I was like, for the last 7 years, I've had to get meals out in 20 minutes.
if I say you're a chef,
Um,
I don't think
yeah, I
so.
was like,
Nah.
so I was like, I can respond to an email in a day, or in 8 hours. And I think because of that experience, she obviously gave me the job, and because of obviously the things I'd experienced through my life and the way I spoke, um, that's how I got to there. But then when I worked there, because it was a lot of inbound calls, like on average, I think it was about 80 per day when you work on the first line of it, as you know, and so you get used to talking on the phone all the time. So without that talking on the phone to strangers, I probably wouldn't have had the VA opportunity that I had because I joined a local VA as a what did she call it? A licensee. So like it was kind of part of a franchise, but on a smaller scale.
Oh, like
Uh,
Getty style.
it was basically a franchise, but she called it something different. Um, but when I've talked to other friends, she's like, "Oh, you're so confident on the phone." I was like, "Because that's what I did for like 3 years or 3.5 years. I was on the phone all day, every day, answering phone calls."
I don't know about you,
Um,
but I do feel like that old school approach. I was same with you. I worked in inbound and outbound call sales, and I think that old school approach is still really important today. That customer service, like I'm working with a client and they have no phone number. They only deal with you via email, or you have
hmm,
to book it in like 24 to 40 hours in advance. And I'm like, that's all well and good. But if there was something that you really needed you, or like I just wanted to get on a phone call with you, is that personal touch is gone. And I think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
so fundamental as a business owner.
yeah. I mean, I like things written down nowadays. But without the it's easy to just pick up the phone, isn't it? Quick question: have you done this? Oh, and also, how are you today and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I don't charge for my clients. I'll sometimes ring them and be like, "How are you? Are you all right?"
Yeah.
And we'll have a conversation. And I obviously don't charge for that.
No.
And sometimes I won't even charge for like, if they're like, "Oh, could you actually do this for me?" And then we'll get down into a conversation on what we're doing. I won't even charge for that bit because I'm like, we're having a conversation about life or whatever. So, but it's that art of conversation, isn't it?
There's a relationship there that you need to build. And I think sometimes people forget that. And I love the fact that you've done the call center thing because it's another way to get yourself through the door. Like being able to go to networking events is exactly the same as calling up a phone and just talking to someone on the phone to be like, that I know you've been around for a while. I noticed that your socials have gone downhill a little bit. What's going on there? Are you still using it? Is it still something you want to use? And then that's the way you can go and get social media from for people as well in your local area.
Yeah. You don't do networking, do you?
I do, but only at one place because they're literally friends.
Yeah.
It's nothing like where you have to bring someone and you have to go every week. I'm sure we don't say names here of what type of place that is, but there's one I go to called the Boardroom Network, and it's
Hmm.
so funny. Like people are presenting. Presented a few months back, or last year before I left, and people would be like, "Come on, Lottie, get on with it." And it's like we have a really good banter. There's a real family friendly vibe. That's the only reason why I go to that one. And if I do
Yeah.
networking, it's more of like, going to the ones where they'll have like what's it called? Where they have it where there's a showroom where there's loads of people there that are in the industry. Like the VA
Hmm.
conference.
Oh yeah.
That one was pretty good actually. It's quite thought
Yeah.
provoking.
That was
In
last weekend,
Bournemouth.
wasn't it?
Yeah, at the Hilton. It
Did
was
you
really
go?
nice. I did. I didn't do the evening. I went to the day
Uh,
though. I got forced to by two of my cohort. They were
ah,
coming down. They were like, "We'd really like to meet you," and I was like, "Okay." So we all went. It was really lovely. I got a free pucker pad.
nice. I nearly went. One of my new kind of client that I've just taken on and connection was gonna go. I was like, oh, if you're going, I could go. And then I was like, oh, maybe next year. And
We'll
then
do
they didn't go
next
in the
year.
end anyway.
Do
Yeah,
the early
next
bird
year.
'cause it's cheaper as well, and it's only down the road for us.
Yeah, I've known about it for a few years. In fact, some of the people that inspired the podcast, Yellow Tuxedo, they spoke at it a couple of years ago. But yeah, I'm connected with Amanda on LinkedIn and Instagram. Though I've never spoken to her. Though I did offer her to come on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Though she never messaged me back.
She's lovely. I'm sure
Yeah,
that if you did respond to her, she would. Her story is really good. Her story
yeah, I know
is
she was.
powerful.
Was it RAF she was in?
Yeah, there's more to it as well. Like
Ooh.
there's so much there. Like I didn't know, and then I learnt about it on the conference, and I was like, wow. Like learning her story made you feel so much more close to her. Actually, I
Mm.
didn't realize how much of a inspiration she is to people. You could see it on the
Ah,
day.
yeah.
There's a
I'm
lot
gonna reach out to her after this. I'm
I
gonna reach out
recommend.
and I'm gonna message her because it was in the comments section when I was talking to her. So I will reach out with a
Yeah,
proper
I
message.
would. I would.
Right. Okay. So we've kind of, in a roundabout way, got to how we know how. Oh, hang on. We've kind of in a roundabout way, got to how you got to where you are now.
Yeah.
Although we did fit lots of my story in there because it is a conversational podcast, not an interview one. And I forget to tell people that at the beginning, and they always ask me at the
So,
end.
yeah, because I
Um,
like you asking me questions, and I was like, but what about you? Like that's how these things roll, right?
yeah, sometimes I manage to slip these in as time goes on. And, what with 20 episodes or whatever, I'm sure people probably know me by now. Unfortunately, some of my guests don't know. Right, okay, let's do the quickfire questions because we have got a little bit of a time limit. And already, well, I'm looking at the timeline. Oh my God, how did we get there so fast? So let's do these, and then we'll see what else we can slot into the show. Okay, so you've already told us that you are 17. Um, all right. So what has been? Okay, obviously not 17. If you were born in the 90s, then what is it? Oh, have you seen on TikTok now? They just check they check IDs by looking for a 9, or they look for the 19 at the front of it, don't they, on your birth year?
I saw on TikTok that now the kids are going, if you're born in the 90s, you're old. I'm like, I'm now old. I mean, I could classify you as old, but me,
I
90.
am not old.
Well, you're mid 80s.
Actually, that's smack bang in the middle of the 80s. But
Yeah.
they were the good times, and growing up in the 90s was the good times too.
Oh my God, we had it good. We had all of it. We had before, during, and after. We've had all the way back from the 1920s all the way through to the 2000s in that small period. I think we've been blessed.
What's your birth year then?
90.
1990.
Mm-hmm.
So are you still classed as a millennial then?
I'm like half and half. I'm Gen Z millennial.
Ah,
I
okay.
call myself a millennial because I more or less, I think I'm a Gen Z. I don't know. I just
As
know.
we go, I think I read the other day, millennials go as far as like 96.
I'm a 90, so I might be before that.
Yeah.
But I'm
Oh,
proud of
yeah.
that. I like the fact that I had a phone that was plugged into the wall. When we talk about it with kids at school, they're like, "What?"
Phone was plugged into the wall, and you could hang it up by slamming it down.
Oh yeah, and I remember like, "Is Michael there?" And they'd be like, "Hang on, Michael."
Yeah, and then you get the old. Have you had a good day at school? They're just on their
Yeah.
way. Yeah, you behaving? Is your mum all right? Yeah. I still remember phone numbers from when I was young.
Or like, or okay, my partner said this the other day. Sorry, we had these conversations all the time because we like reminisce. But he was
Yeah.
like, the only way that you knew that your friends were around your friend's house is because you saw the bikes outside
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
grass.
Yeah. And my auntie used to have one of the old dial phones where you did the old ring thing.
That is so cool. Please tell me she still
But
has it.
I don't know. I doubt it. Um, okay, right. So we know that you're now like 35 or whatever you are, 34, nearly 35.
No, I just turned 34. I have another year
Just
now.
turned 34.
Just
Okay,
turned it.
34.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused because you said I was 5 years older than you, so that's where the five came from. There you go. 34, just turned. Many happy returns if that was very recently. In fact, it was, wasn't it? It was the weekend. I wished you happy birthday on Instagram, didn't I?
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know. There we go. All right. So, what's been your favourite age so far? We got there in the end with the question.
22.
22.
I'm a big Taylor Swift fan and I'm a big Swiftie. And when I was 22, it was like I had money, no responsibilities. I went traveling. I went traveling on my own for a year and a half, sorry. I did Australia on my own and then did all of Asia all alone. Met loads of people and it was like my prime time where I was just free. I've never felt that free in my life. Because everyone, we get brought up like school, work, uni, you need money to live. And when you've got enough money to just splosh it out for 3 months, there's no dates, there's no meetings, there's no work. Like you're living your life. It was insane. So when I went away, I thought it would be the same and it wasn't because I was working whilst traveling. So it was a very different experience to what I anticipated. But 22 was like a big, big year for me. And then I think borderline, I'd probably say was my 31st because I got my business, I got married, got my cat, got my house all in one go. So it was like really, really lovely.
Nice. I love it. Right. Question two then. I'm sorry, I'm not like uh, downplaying those answers. They were fantastic answers. I'm just, I'm not. It's not the old. What is it, Loki? When he's like, yes, very, very nice, very nice. But anyway, moving on. It's not that. I gave you my filler word. There you go. It's like boom. I like it. Let's move on. Um, what's your favourite quote? Is question two. It could be a movie quote, a motivational quote, a meme, or any other quote you can think of.
Um, you asked me to prep this before. I don't have one. What I will say though is I do believe in Sir Alan Sugar. I know it's super sad, but you might not think that I would ever say that. But start with what you know, and then work from there. If you ever want to become a business owner, start with what you know, because that's where your confidence is. That is where your experience is. So that's where your expertise lie, and then start learning.
I like it. Have I got time for the quick story?
Go on.
Yes, I've got time for it. I'm going to tell you. It involves that very statement that you just made, in that I was looking for jobs when I was at the motorbike retailer, and I was talking with nowadays when you apply for a job, or well, back then, it was like you thought you were applying to the company, but actually you weren't. You were applying to a recruitment agent,
Yeah.
and who then put you forward for the job. So I spoke to this recruitment agent quite often. Actually, no, I might have been dealing directly with a customer, with a client, and she said something to me, and she said it was like, "Oh, sorry, you didn't get that job, but perhaps you might want to apply for this job at the same company." And I was like, "Oh, right, okay." And then she said something, and I said something about, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm quite used to doing the rubbish jobs or something. I get given all the rubbish to do." And she's like, "Oh, you know why, don't you?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Because people know that if they ask you, you'll do it." And I was like, "Whoa." And then I don't know if you've seen Heath Ledger's Joker in the Dark Knight, in the Batman film, the second one
Yeah.
with Christian Bale in it. He says, "If you're good at something, never do it for free." And I was like, "Huh, I'm good at doing those pretty rubbish jobs that no one else wants to do.
Yeah.
I'll see if there's a field in which I can do that in." And so that's how I started. Was just like, I'll do that rubbish job of, entering numbers into a spreadsheet, or scheduling your social media for you, or scheduling those group
Yeah.
posts or whatever.
Okay, two things here for you. Heath Ledger is born in October, so it's
Hmm.
perfect month for us to have this conversation. I know because I looked it up. Love him. He's amazing. Also, secondly, know what you do. Well, funny enough, I started as a VA. I went into social media because I thought that'd be more flexible, and actually,
Hmm.
I really miss being a VA myself. So I'm now taking on a client to do VA work again. So it all works in circles, and your business
Yeah.
changes all the time. But it's amazing how something like that can change your mindset as well, because they don't say it's the rubbish, by the way, because I've never called our job or
No,
our
no, no.
skills as rubbish, but we have skills that people don't have that we really, really struggle with. And it's a
Yeah,
good thing, really.
yeah. Obviously, I since realised that you don't call it rubbish, but the rubbish was like
You're
peeling
not rubbish.
potatoes and chipping the potatoes and things like that, mopping the floors. Um, But yeah, it's those jobs that people don't want to do, or that they've not got time for, that type of stuff. But interestingly, that you say that you've kind of gone to social media, but now you want to go back to VA. I tried social media as well, and now I'm like, I don't want to do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, Crazy. Right. Okay. A good quote then. Well done. Pat on the back for that. Gold star.
Thank you.
Was that a
It's
bit
a
better
new
than
coaching program.
is that better than like moving on? Yeah.
Hey?
Is the whole good gold star thing for the answer?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I like
Yeah.
both. I'm a primary teacher. Gold stars is amazing for me. I'm like,
Gold star.
yay!
Cool.
So
Gold
gold
star.
star.
All right. Question question three: Google Suite or Microsoft 365?
Google. Google all the
Everyone
way.
says Google.
Huh?
Must be your age. Everyone. It must be your age.
No, but I am using SharePoint. I've had to move to SharePoint because the Google Drive got too big. So I've now had to move to SharePoint for it.
Hmm.
But I just find Google so easy because I love the fact that I can bring up Google Chrome and you have all the different clients and you can sign
Hmm.
into them and all their stuff is there. So it's not like I have to log out, log back in or anything like that. So that's one thing that Google Chrome does have.
Yeah. Yeah, I logged it. I thought I was logging into my client's email yesterday to send out an email, and I clicked the buttons too fast, and I logged into my own Gmail. And I saw it popped up on the side. It was like Trello has now been installed. I was like, ooh, nice new integration. And then I looked at it. I was like, I didn't know he'd got Trello. This is my client. And I was like, actually, no, I do remember him having Trello. He must have. I was like, everything looks to be all moved around. And then I looked at it. I was like, hang on a second. This is my email. There's a little picture of me in the corner still. I was like, oh, but I like the fact that they've got the add-ons on the side. And like with Microsoft, although I love it, you don't get that.
No.
Uh, I even like looked yesterday on the Microsoft store. I was like, what add-ons can we have? And they were just things that you'd never heard of.
Yeah, and I've been looking, I'm similar to you, I've been looking at CRMs to see if I can just get everything in one place, similar to that. And
Mm,
I found one, but the amount that I'm paying for all these little places, I know it's a bit bitty, but I know where everything is and I know what I'm doing.
mm.
Whereas if I wanted a CRM, it's like £200 a month. And I'm like, no, I'm paying half of that with all the bitty bits. I'm
Yeah,
like, save your bits.
interesting. Which one are you looking at then?
It's called Samai. I had a demo on it
Yeah.
yesterday and it was really good. It had many chat as well. So you could
Mm,
integrate LinkedIn, WhatsApp, all of it. And it was all under the client. So you can
yeah.
see the whole receipt of like the conversations you've had with the client, including email, includes landing pages, scheduling tools, all of it. And you can have the client at the top and then you click on it and you'll have all the clients underneath. So you can go into each
Mm.
individual workspace. I loved it, but I'm not paying £200.
Yeah, I had a conversation yesterday because obviously mine's on a little bit of a smaller scale than yours. I've got like eight clients, I think.
It's
Eight
just you,
clients,
isn't it?
but it's just me. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't.
Uh, so I use with Moxie or Moxie as my daily kind of project manager slash CRM. And I was talking to people yesterday, and I was like, getting the old itch, you know. Is it time to go back to? I've seen after seeing the Trello thing, I was like, it's time to go back to Asana. I did like Asana with the old unicorn and the narwhal pop up on the corner when you've done a task. You know, you don't get like a little magical
Celebration, like a
celebration.
little high five.
Yeah, it was. It was like little unicorn pops up like woo. You don't get that on Moxie, and I'm like, Moxie's since they changed the layout of it. It doesn't look as nice, even with the '80s party theme. I'm like, feeling that change. Oh yeah. And actually, I went back to I had a quick look at my old Trello. I had a quick look at my old Asana, and I had a quick look at Toggle Plan even, and I was like, oh no, it's dirty. I think I'll stick with Moxie for now. But it's interesting the ones that we use and things. But I love talking about them, and I love like trying out. I tried one. What was that called? I tried one that it took your calendar and then it AI'd everything into your calendar for you.
That's cool. They're one of the people that were at the VA conference. I was looking for the mug because they give you mugs. It was like
Oh
commando
right.
or something,
Oh.
but it was all about tabs. How many tabs do you have open at once?
When I what during
When you're working for a client, how many tabs would you have open maximum?
oh well, I don't know, five maybe.
Yeah, me too. They've made this app, and I don't know how it's relatable to VAs, but apparently they're like, yeah, you could have like 100 tabs up because you're working for so many different clients. And I was like, no, I close everything down as soon as I finish with the client, so then I can just refresh my mind,
Yeah, yeah.
like reopen it all up, and then start again. My husband's always like, why do you close everything down and then reopen it? I was like, because I've closed on that client and I've opened the door to the other one.
Yeah, you gotta change. Like two of my big clients. One's a solicitor, as I mentioned earlier, and
Yeah.
the other is an arboriculturalist, so a tree consultant.
Wow.
So, one minute I'm talking about, divorces and family matters and without prejudices. And the next minute I'm talking about, pollarding an oak tree. So I can't be like, if I don't have that kind of close everything
Yeah.
down and moving on to trees, I'd be like, sorry to hear about your separation. Perhaps you should re-pollard at 4 meters.
It'd be funny though, wouldn't it? I'm so to you, we have a solicitors for socials. So
Mm,
it's like going from talking about divorce, and you have to be really careful with socials as well. And then I'm talking about aesthetics or like popping a pill of some sort. And I'm just,
yeah.
this is interesting. I could definitely combine these together and make it really wrong. But yeah, I get it. I love the fact that you've got all these like individual clients. Are they all local?
Yes. The tree man is Sherborne.
All right,
Sherborne.
that's it. Sure, Bob.
Uh, Sherborne.
You went worry. I sometimes go Dorset, and I'm like, why did I just say it like that?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not from here, so I only go what other people say. So if I've got like a Portland guy, a guy that's born and raised on Portland, so he says Sherborne, and I'm like, is it Sherborne? 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 I don't know.
Sherborne.
Sherborne. He,
Sherborne.
Sherborne. He's from there anyway, and then the rest are just yeah, local. I think. I think so. Yeah.
I love that.
Apart from one, the newest one, he's Highcliff, so not miles away,
Still
but
close. How did you find them
yeah.
then? Was that just through client
Uh, my
referrals?
first client was through Instagram. It was a local gym, um, and he started a podcast during lockdown one. And he's talking about the podcast. He's talking about all these plans and aspirations he had, but all this work he had to do. And I was like, boom, this is my jam. So I sent him a message like, oh hey, listen to your podcast. Followed your journey from the very beginning, and wondered if you needed some help. So he signed in. Was it like July 2020? I think. And then I went full time self employed in December 2020.
Wow.
Because I got made redundant, not because I was ready. But
Did it give you
then my yeah, it was the push. It was the old this is
leadership?
Sparta kick off the cliff rather than a jump. It was like
Yeah.
off you go. But then my partner's uncle needed some help with a couple of his businesses, like a bit of social media, a bit of phone calls, and then I became the secretary for the local chamber, which we got rid of that as soon as we could. And then I'll say no more.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't get involved because they're just
but
presuming
then
you can do it. You're just going to do it, and it's like no, no.
it was that I could do it, but it was like it was managing the events, it was managing all the social media, it was the everyday admin of the memberships and
Yeah,
stuff,
it's a
and
lot.
they were paying a set rate. They weren't paying freelancer rate or my rate, so I took it because I didn't have any choice at the time. Or well, I did. Obviously, you've always got a choice, but I took it, and then anyway, I got out of that. But then the third client was a referral from the group that I was in.
Oh,
Um, and then the fourth client was from the chamber. That was a local hotel that was on the exec board. So she'd
wow.
been thinking how she could use me, and so I do a bit of social media for her. But she's a ex-marketeer herself, so it's very much collaborative rather than there you go,
Love
Richard, go and
that.
do our
Yeah,
stuff.
it's nice to work collaboratively as well with someone.
Yeah, and then the fifth one was a local PT who'd seen my stuff for the other gym and presumed that it was all mine, but it wasn't. I was like, oh no, I just schedule it for him, but I can do some stuff for you. Sixth one was
It happens though, doesn't it? Slowly, and it
yeah.
sounds like you've kept all of them since the beginning.
I've had a couple go. Like I had one. The chamber, obviously, I got rid of. Well, I didn't get rid of. We parted on amicable terms, I might add. Um, I had what my old employer from Poole. They used me for some outbound calls, but that was like a little project base. I did some social media for a local care agency, but he sold the business, and the care agency people had their own in-house team, so they didn't need me anymore. But other than that, I think they're all still here.
That's so good.
So yeah, three years next. I think it's just been 3 years that everyone's been with me. Just apart from obviously the newest
Congratulations.
guy.
Does it feel weird that you've been
Yeah,
doing for 3 years now and you're doing a podcast? So you've got lots of things going on in your end.
yeah. The podcast was like because obviously I'm a one man band. I haven't expanded into one person band, should we say, rather than one man. Well, I am a man, obviously, but let's keep it inclusive. Um, because I'm a one person band, I haven't. Now I need associates because everyone wants me to do the work myself. So I either need to
Yeah.
employ people or associate out or whatever. I haven't reached that point yet, so I can't really market myself because every time I put a post out that's even a little bit salesy, I get oh hey Richard, can we talk about this? I'm like yeah, no sorry, no capacity. Um,
Have you ever
So I
thought about
thought
expanding though?
I have thought about it, and yeah, I've there's like 3 or 4 avenues that I could take,
Yeah, there is.
and like I'm on this is avenue number 4 presently. Make a
Okay.
podcast, start like a t-shirt business or something, become a different entrepreneur that way, figure out the VA stuff later. But with regard to the VA work, it's like obviously that's my daily and my bread and butter. But I was like, what can I post on my socials? And I was like, oh well, if you use the Riverside to record a podcast, they practically make the clips for you. So I could just post those on my socials, and then people get to know me from the stories that we talk about on the podcast. And then then you got that whole love like no, love life laugh thing. No,
Yeah.
like and trust thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, let's do that for now. And so I've had conversations since about the route forward and things like that with people that have been on the podcast, like yourself, who I've spoken to a couple of times in the DMs, but never actually had a full conversation with. And then they're like, oh, so one guy, he gave me like a free little mentor class. I
I
was
was
like, oh,
say,
I
I
was
was
like,
like, honestly, it's the one thing that I found made my life easier was taking on just
mm,
my first associate who just
mm,
did. We discussed it. I found something that suited them, and then it just slowly but surely built from there, and that's how it
yeah,
all came about. And like,
yeah,
you want to help people, but if you don't have the capacity, but they want to keep with you,
yeah.
that's the way to go.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's in the works. And when I've finished, is I think by the end of November, I will have run out of podcast guests for now. So we might have to call it a season, and then obviously I'll give it a little bit of time to have a think about the VA bit.
Yeah,
Right, nice little side quest, but let's get back to these questions because I know we're on a
yeah,
bit of a time limit.
yeah.
So,
Sorry, I thought we had
uh,
questions.
no, we've still got 3 questions to go.
Love this. Okay.
So, question 4: what app could you not live without?
Instagram now. I'm obsessed with Instagram. Actually,
It's a
no,
good
I'm going to take
choice.
that back. WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Yeah,
Lots of people
most of
say
my
WhatsApp.
clients are on WhatsApp. Yeah.
Mm,
I use it daily. And it's also really nice because I can add groups and make groups for clients or personal life or parties or with my friends. So yeah, WhatsApp.
yeah, good. I like it. Lovely answer. Question 5: how many unread emails do you have on your phone right now?
Zero.
It's a good answer too. Even your personal ones.
My personal,
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's 300, but it's because it's a shared one with my husband and it's all the rubbish you get from like booking.com or
Yeah.
Airbnb. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I've transferred it to junk, but I haven't got rid of all the rubbish from before.
Yeah.
I did have to start a new personal email address because it got too much. I was like, I need to just get rid of that, and I'm just going to start a brand new email address. I try not to
Ah.
send anything now.
So when we had Suze on the podcast, I was telling her for mail lists, she signs up, and as you do as a business owner, you sign up to people's mail lists and you sign up to coach mail lists and things like that. So like Mark Manson, the subtle art of not giving a fuck, he I signed up to his, and James Clear, the Atomic Habits, you sign up to their mailing lists, and you get the emails into your inbox, and you look at it, and you're like, that looks really interesting. I'll read that later on. And then, before you know it, a few days has gone past, and you've still got that one email in your inbox. And so what I said to Suze was, if you own your own domain, which you presumably have, Lottie, virtuallottie.com, yours, isn't it?
And lottiedoherty.com now as well.
So get one of those, and then with your however many email addresses that you get given with your provider. So I get 5 with mine. Some people may get other ones, but set up a mail lists at virtuallottie.com, and then next time you're falling down someone's funnel, you could be like mail lists at virtuallottie.com, and then they're all in one place.
The thing is, I would, but I'm the same as you. I want to keep it in my inbox because I want to make sure that I'm reading them because I'm big on launching my program at the moment. So I'm keeping my eyes out on lots and lots of ideas. So I keep all the
Yeah.
ideas together, and I don't know how many people, how much have you got saved on your Instagram from like inspiration?
Oh, I
It's
can't do that because then they just if I save something on Instagram, it disappears forever.
really, oh no, I've
Yeah.
saved it. I'm going through it now. Like I have it in my. This is how sad I am. I have blocked time out every single week, which just says emails from training. And I have a folder that says training for emails. And in those emails, I'll go through and I'll like read it because I found a potential client from that. Metrical,
Ah.
there are like job adverts come up in some of them or a
Mm.
trend for socials that I'm like, I need to grab on that now. So, but then that's my experiences and expertise where I look at it for clients as well. Whereas for you, it
Mm.
would be looking at what's trending on podcasts. Like if there's a particular question that VAs are asking or business owners, you can go, I could do an entire podcast on my own about that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't broached the old solo podcast bit yet because I don't know if you've seen the trailer episode, but that was like horrific and traumatic. It's I'm quite happy to we've briefly spoken on Instagram, a few messages back and forward, but we've never actually spoken in person. But I'm quite happy for someone to just jump into the old Riverside recording room, and I'll bang out, over an hour now on a podcast. But when it came to sitting here on my own, in front of the camera, with my microphone and my few notes down here, like, okay, and I was like, it's okay. Riverside, for those who don't know, has a teleprompter. So you can turn on the script or you can turn on the teleprompter. So the script would go at the top of the screen, so you could read it potentially there, or the teleprompter puts it across you in white writing and makes the video opaque. So I couldn't get the speed on the teleprompter right. So it was either too fast or too slow. So when it was too slow, I was like, "Come on!" And when it was too fast, I was like, "Urgh." So I was like, "Right, fine. This doesn't sound natural. I'm gonna freestyle it with a few notes." And I've actually got the notes on this piece of paper that I've just picked up here. To write a few notes about you, and it was actually to write down Doherty, so that I knew it had a C and a K in it rather than Doherty or Dotty or
It's
anything
just
like
the
that.
pronunciation. It's not even spelled like that. I just
Yeah,
refuse
I
to
know,
acknowledge
but
it.
I was like, if I put a C and a K in it when on the notes, then I will say Doherty, not
Yeah.
what did I say? Doherty. Doherty was the first one I said to you, I
Doherty.
think. Yeah.
Doherty.
Um, So yeah, I was like, this is so unnatural for this ChatGPT written script on the teleprompter. I'm just going to freestyle it, and I'll write a few notes. And I ended up just looking down and talking to it, and then I liked what ChatGPT had said in their script, in that like little script. So I kind of swapped halfway through. So what half of the trailer episodes like this, yeah, so didn't know what to do. I've been a VA for 4 years, blah, 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 don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden he goes, so join me on Rad-Ventures, where we shall visit entrepreneurs and we shall do blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh my God. So the point of the story is, before I get too sidetracked and forget why we started talking about this, is kudos to those who do a solo podcast. And they sit there doing the whole talky
Yeah.
thing because I can't do it. I need someone to talk to
Yeah.
bounce off, and to look at. Um, Even if it's it is in interview style, and I'd lose some credibility because I'm not talking about my niche or whatever through talking with someone else. I'd rather it was that way than me sit here. I suppose if it wasn't video, then it might not be too bad if it was just talking to the microphone. But yeah, kudos to those who do it. But
I
it's
do
it's not for me.
lives. I've done 3 lives now for half an hour on my own.
Yeah.
But I have it where, say, for example, like the camera's here, but I'll say,
Mm-hmm.
like, I've got my prompts here, but I just want to make sure. And I always have a topic to make
Mm.
sure that then my brain is like, okay, I'm talking about this. Then I have the prompts. But I'm the same as you, like, having an interview with someone is so much nicer and it's so much more
Mm.
natural as well. So I've had 2 of those now. I go live on Instagram because it's easier because obviously you get part of theirs as well as yours. So it
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
something that we do together in the future as well. Maybe that'd be something.
Yes, I do love an Instagram live, and way back when, before you were born. No, I'm joking.
Instagram
It
wasn't even
was
around then.
it was like 2020. The Was it 2020? Yeah, it must have been like after the first lockdown, but before the second one. everyone was doing carousels on Instagram. It was like a new thing. And then after that, from carousels, everyone went to do Instagram lives. And so I just sit there all day like, oh, yes, another Instagram live with such and such a person. Can't wait. And I just watch some people go live all day. And I think they were like the glory days of Instagram when they had Instagram lives. But now it's kind of like a not done thing. Well, obviously people still do it, but it's not as popular as it was.
No,
And it's like we've got like a little group. We're trying to bring it back.
what, people that want to go live?
We're trying to bring back Instagram lives and their
I think
popularity.
so.
Yeah.
There's another girl that I listen to called Social Moody, and she goes live quite often, and I
Hmm.
really enjoy her. So I was like, and I needed it because it's another way to be visible in front of people. It's another way for people to get to know you. They can come on, they might even be intrigued and ask you questions. Like I've had someone go live with me before on Virtual Lottie,
Hmm.
and that was really good. So I might go live on Virtual Lottie today, actually. That might be a good idea. I put Lottie Doherty, but it's really
Yeah.
confusing because I'd like to go live on both, but I can't.
If you had more than one device, then you could.
I tried that, and
Ah,
then it started echoing because I had both.
yeah,
Like, but yeah, I
yeah.
in complete agreement. It is really hard on your own. After the third time now, I'm like, just do it.
I'm like that a bit like with stories. I do stories quite often, or I get into the throw of doing them, and I'm like, yeah, this is all right. And like obviously doing a podcast has made me better at talking on them. But then I forget to do it for a few days, and then you kind of starting again. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I always think that lives are easier. I think because you think someone could potentially there, or you see someone's there. Whereas stories, you have to pretend that you're talking to your mate on the other side of the camera or something, you know?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I like doing it in the car, or I like doing the writing. So I like to take a photograph and do the writing, but I do need to show up more. And
Mm,
I try to. I try to show up every day on Lottie on both platforms,
yeah,
but it's tiring. Like
yeah,
marketing or business every single day is like, oh,
yeah, it is. I was talking about this on LinkedIn yesterday. Someone put something about focusing on their marketing, and I was like, oh, we have to market our own businesses too. Obviously, yes, but yeah, I don't think any of the corporate Collins really liked my comment. But right, I know that you've got a scheduled LinkedIn, not LinkedIn Live. What am I talking about? Instagram Live shortly.
yeah.
So let's start wrapping up, Lottie.
Go
Tell
on.
us where people can find you.
So you can either find me on Instagram at virtual Lottie, or you can find me on Instagram at Lottie Doherty _. So just remember those two areas, and you'll find me on there.
And if they're not on Instagram and they want to check out websites,
virtuallottie.com.
perfect. Okay, I think we've covered Lottie's journey. It has been quite a rad venture and a bit of a whirlwind one. I think obviously we're going to have to get you back for episode 2 in the future because we've not
Yeah,
talked about your travel.
I know. We hadn't gone into that.
Um,
Like, get to know me.
so we've got like a whole year to talk about of your travels around the East. Um, and so, yeah, we'll have to come back. But it's been a pleasure talking to you. I could talk to you all day, but yeah, then neither of us are going to get any work done.
No.
And obviously that's where we get our money from. So I think that is the perfect time to wrap up. If you're still listening, thank you for listening. And it's been a nice episode. 1 hour 10, I reckon. That's a good episode. Liz. Not too long. It's not old Stephen Bartlett with his 3-hour marathons. Yeah, and it's not a 5-minute show. So good. Really appreciate you coming on, Lottie. Really appreciate your listeners and watchers. But for now, peace out. Nice peace out there.
I didn't know if you. I was like,
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on Rad-Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite platform. Always happy to chat, so hit me up in the DMs, and I'll see you on the next Rad-Venture.